Organize Me Radio, episode 86, The Psychology of Photo Organization. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Organize Me Radio. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson, and today's guest is the owner and founder of 2000 Paces Photo Organizing. Please welcome Rachel Arbuckle. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you, Naeemah. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to learn about the psychology of photo organizing. But first, can you tell everyone, how did you get your start in the organizing industry?
Yeah, I always love hearing the answer to that question because none of us I think most of us didn't go to college thinking I'm going to own an organizing business or do
Right.
this for a living, right? So it's always fun to hear the story. So my story, quick bullet points. I was in the military for 6 years right after high school. Put myself through undergrad and grad school with degrees in geographic information systems, totally unrelated to organizing. Worked in environmental consulting, then worked in corporate America, kind of doing the grind, not super passionate about it, but paid the bills. And then a fire came through our neighborhood. And I grew up in San Diego, so it's not uncommon, right, for fires and being evacuated. But this one was particularly intense and fierce because it started about 100 yards from my front door.
Wow.
My neighbor knocked on the door and pointed to the fire and ran back in our house. So we had very little time, and I truly thought that we were going to lose everything. And when we grabbed what we could, obviously kids and pets and a few computers and things like that, I stood at the bottom of the hill and we were evacuated for probably 6 or 7 days, which is really a long time from my experience. And I looked up at our home and I thought, we have photos on the walls. We have memorabilia from my grandparents, handwritten letters, my parents' childhood. I'm the memory keeper in my family. We all, usually there's one person that somehow, on purpose or not, right, inherits all the photos. And I had so much fear and anxiety during those days. The wind shifted, and although we did not lose anything, our home survived. We had some smoke damage, but that was about it. But some members in our community did lose their home. And I looked over at my husband and said, we have got to find a solution. I never want to, experience that fear again of losing those memories because they're irreplaceable. So I tried to look for a solution, and similar to you creating your Tidy Tessa book, you said there wasn't anything out there, so you created a solution. I did the same thing with photo organizing. I didn't at the time see a solution that really met the qualities that I thought our photos deserve, so I created one.
I love that. I think that's great that, there was a problem and you found a solution for that problem. So, what does photo organization entail from a psychological perspective?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. We could just talk about that one all day. From a psychological perspective, photos represent our memories. They reconnect us with memories, and sometimes those memories are really fun. And usually people take pictures of fun memories, but they can also evoke sadness or loss, from somebody, that a grandparent that used to hold us and sing a song, and we see a photo or listen to a video of that. Um, we've had so many clients that have come in and experienced loss, and that sometimes is often the reason people decide to organize, right? They've lost a parent and they've inherited all these photos, and now it's time to organize. We've also had people, though, that have taken the photos because they lost somebody close to them, and they just put them in boxes and let them, put them in storage or in the attic or in the basement for years. And they've come in and said, I'm ready. I'm ready to unbox this. And they're talking about their photos and ready to organize, but it's a lot bigger than that, I've found. What they're really saying is, I'm ready to deal with this from a psychological. I'm ready to revisit those memories. I'll just share a real quick story. We had a client who lost her mother at a young age, early 50s, far too young to lose a mom. The mom was in her early 50s. And it took, 15 or 20 years for her to decide to open up those boxes, she and her sister, for us to work on them. And when we were going through them, she saw this one photo of her in a dress, and it wasn't a remarkable photo, but the memories it evoked. She said, I remember that flowered dress, and this is back when we had to dress up to get on the plane. For those of us that remember, right now everybody's wearing yoga pants and
Right.
Birkenstocks and whatever, but she had to dress up, and her mom insisted that she and her sister dress up. Well, she got sick on the plane and ended up throwing up all over this beautiful dress. And she said, I remember when I got off the plane, all my mom cared about was getting me in a proper dress so that I would look suitable. And it was just a fun memory that she could laugh about, just that photo. So they're really powerful. And then, the other psychological component to it is kind of what I said that sparked, me creating, or my creating this business, was the fear and anxiety surrounding the potential of losing those memories.
So you mentioned kind of like attachments to photos with the woman who lost her mom and things of that nature. How do attachments that we form to our photos or our photo collections, how does that affect the way we interact with our photos?
Oh, I love that question, Naima. Obviously it depends on the person. But some of the things I've observed, sometimes people will lock those away. Like I said, with that particular client, we had another client who lost her husband very abruptly, and took all of the photos in her house, even the photos of her two sons, and put them in storage bins for probably 8 to 10 years, because it was just such a devastating loss.
Wow.
So sometimes people will just, like we do with many things in our lives, let's just push that under the rug, let's get it out of the way. And it makes sense. I mean, because those are connecting us with those memories. And at that time, it was really painful. And then she finally had the courage and wanted her sons to have those photos, and reached out to us. But even after we'd organized it, she said, you know what, I'm not quite ready to look at them. But I want to give my sons access to that. And she's remarried, and her life is wonderful. But so oftentimes people will react by putting it to the side. And I think even if there isn't a significant loss, sometimes just that overwhelm of, I've got albums and boxes and photos on my phone and CDs and floppy disks, and even talking about it right now, I'm sure some people are going, oh my gosh, I'm panicking. Like many things in our lives, when we feel overwhelmed, we're going to push that to the side. So I think that's a big psychological component for organizing in general, and then, with photos. The other thing I found is oftentimes when clients try to work on photos on their own, it can take a really long time. And part of that is simply, obviously we can, as experts in the field, this is what we do all day long. I have 300 pages of operating procedures of how to do this. So of course we're gonna, just like any expert in an industry, be able to do that quicker. But the psychological component to it is, you could simply be looking through some photos, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, uh, and you see a photo and you go, oh, I have got to send this to my girlfriend from high school, or I need to take a photo of this photo and send it to my cousin,
Yeah.
right? Or I need to run out and show this to my kids and ask them if they remember. And so now something that should have taken, a couple hours, I've we've got clients who spend the entire day and they've maybe sifted through 100 photos. We're so intimately connected with these photos. These photos, there's a reason you can't insure your photos. You can insure your art and your home and your jewelry and your car, but you can't insure photos because they are irreplaceable. And with that comes a big emotional burden, really. And so it's difficult to approach a project like that in sort of a streamlined business mindset, you know? There's stories behind every photo.
So for me, it feels like, a lot of the older people in my family, like grandparents, parents, they love keeping pictures, but the people that are younger love storing photos on their phones. For me, I guess it's kind of a mixture of both. I don't really like to delete the photos off of my phone, you know? But I love looking at, a photo album. I love seeing a printed picture.
Mhm.
So it's interesting, when I'm going through pictures because I lose track of time because I love
Yeah.
it so much. But I wanted to ask, are there psychological benefits to organizing our photos, especially for people who are going through life transitions? So, like wedding or having a baby, or we mentioned the death of a loved one. But do you see that there are psychological benefits to organizing your photos?
Yeah. Absolutely. When your collection of photos is organized in a way that enables you to easily find, view, and share them, we can connect with those memories at any time. So, for example, I might be talking to somebody and I meet somebody at a networking event, or, I'm out with some friends, and somebody might say, have you always been a redhead? And full disclosure, I get a little help these days, covering the gray like we often do. But I was born a redhead, and I can pull up photos of me as a child um, at the snap of a finger. I can just type my name in on an app on my phone and find those photos. And so I can share that. And now, I might meet another redhead. And now we've got this amazing connection of, oh, yeah, I remember that. And we'd walk around. Or maybe I'm spending time with my family. For example, my parents have been married for, oh goodness, 53 years now.
Wow.
And yeah, and so this month they just celebrated their 53rd year married together. And we have a group WhatsApp, like many people do, so we can all chat because we're all over the world, actually, my family. And it was so cool that I could instantly bring up photos of my parents' wedding and share that with the whole family and everybody. They hadn't seen the photos in years, and everybody's laughing and looking at, the style back in the early 1971 and the dress my mom was wearing and how young and handsome my dad looked. And so the benefit of having your photos organized, I think one of the benefits is just being able to reconnect with the memories and share those with others. The other benefit is, again, back to why I started the company, the fear and anxiety of losing my photos. I'll share, I had one of my very first clients when I started this, and I'd never heard this before, but before I got my office space, I was working out of my home, like many of us were. And I went and met with her. And when I delivered her final project, she was thrilled. But she shared with me, she said, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I had this nightmare that you were going to blackmail me with my photos. And I was so scared. And she said it was just a nightmare and it wasn't based on anything I had done, but her connection to her photos was so intense that she thought, oh my goodness, I could be blackmailed for my photos, which of course I would never do, and gave her no inclination to that. But it really helped me at an early stage of my business to see that, the fear of losing these photos, the fear of not having them, the fear of not being able to share them. Um, there have also been a number of times that we've had some of our older clients or adult, our clients who have adult parents or aging parents rather. I hope they're all adults, aging parents, and maybe they're experiencing, early onset Alzheimer's or dementia, and um, they have shared with me that when they showed their parents these photos, either through, we've digitized the photos and they've seen them digitally, or through a photo book we've created or an album we've put together. and they saw glimpses, because oftentimes with dementia or Alzheimer's, they lose more recent memories first. So they were able to remember their childhood and raising their own kids. And it was just so cool to hear, and so emotional and touching to hear that they were able to get a glimpse of their parents again. So having that all organized can serve a multitude of benefits psychologically.
I love that. I never thought of, that aspect of having dementia or, or something along those lines and showing photos in it, jogging their memories. But it makes sense because there are times when I see photos and I'm like, I completely forgot about that, or I completely
Yeah.
forgot about that dress. Oh, I forgot we went there. So I love that. When it comes to decision making for people who are trying to organize their photos, um what type of effect does that have on them, with the organization process? And then how can hiring a professional help with alleviating some of that stress in the decision making?
I experienced what all of our clients are experiencing, and people that are listening to this podcast are experiencing, because I needed to organize my own photos and preserve and protect them, which is why I ended up starting the company, because I didn't find a solution. So I remember very distinctly sitting at this table that was piled with print photos and memorabilia and artwork from my children, and memorabilia from my grandfather in World War II. And I've got duplicates of this, and I don't know the years for these, and these are in albums. Do I take them out? Do I put them back in? So many questions. And I think that overwhelm was very real for me. And so it is difficult to navigate trying to make all of those decisions, particularly if you have a lot of print and a lot of digital. They're very different. And so working with a professional certainly is going to, working with an expert, we have a plan for your photos. We have recommendations based on experience, based on data. So for example, those old photo albums from the 60s, 70s, 80s, right? Where the plastic that you have to peel back, right? You know what I'm talking about. And it's always yellow. And
Right.
that's because there's chemicals in those paper that, or in the plastic, that is degrading the photos. So for example, I would always tell a client, if you've got photos in those adhesive albums, take them out, whether you do it or you hire somebody to do it, and do not put them back in. If you want to keep the album for nostalgic reasons, or you can scan, the album so you have a photo of it. So those kinds of things I think are really nice to be able to work with an expert to get some details. I also find, again, it kind of goes back to that intimate connection we have with our photos, where you're calling your girlfriend and your mom and your sister. It's so hard to get through the photos, and because we have passion, my team and I, we have passion for your story. In fact, we're always honored to have kind of a backstage pass into our clients' lives. It really is such an honor that we're being trusted. Um, but we can approach it in a more business-like manner, so we can actually get through and get it done. So that's another advantage to working with an expert. And the reality is, I would rather our clients go off and focus on making memories and let us worry about organizing them. It is very, very time consuming. So the reality is, you're either going to pay somebody, an expert, to organize your photos, or you're going to take the time to do it, right? We're always paying with money and time, whether it's a closet we're getting organized, or a bathroom we're getting, redesigned. It's always money or time. And I think with photos, because of that psychological component, because it feels overwhelming, because there's so many suggestions out there of how to do it, hiring somebody who can kind of streamline that and make sure that your photos are future proofed, that they're backed up, that you can actually view them, and that you can actually get it done, right? That it's not just an idea and it's something that's been on your to-do list for years. But if somebody is not in a position to hire somebody for budget reasons, or just says, you know what, I'm really determined to get this done, there are experts out there that will provide you some guidance or maybe do some consulting. We have some clients that say, you know, I want to do this part of it, but not that part of it. And so, you know, we offer sort of hybrid options, and there's a lot of professionals and experts out there that will do that. So I think it's trying to find that happy medium of, I want to get this done. How much energy do I want to put into it, or do I just want to get it done and go off and have some fun?
Can a well organized photo collection positively impact our well being? If so, how?
Yeah. You know, I'm absolutely gonna say yes. For a lot of the reasons I've already discussed. We can reconnect with our memories. We can find them when we need them. So I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. I have two goals for every client that we work with. And we work with clients nationwide, although our corporate office is here in San Diego, we have clients all over the country. And it's always the same. My first goal is to preserve and protect the memories. Since the reason I started the company was the fear of losing them, making sure they're protected and backed up is always a priority. So, you know, that's backing up all the digital files, that's digitizing the print, that's having everything in 3 digital locations, which is what we recommend, including an online one. And then the second goal for all of our clients is to organize them in a way that they can find, view, and share them easily. So going back to your question of how can having an organized collection impact somebody psychologically? Well, again, when I want to share a photo for my parents' wedding and I can just find it in seconds. Or last year, our youngest graduated high school. So we're empty nesters, and she went off to college. And we decided to throw her, you know, a graduation party, as many of us do for our kids. And I wanted to display photos of her from kindergarten through her senior year of high school. And because they were organized, I was able to simply type in her name, which is Darian, and I typed in school and professional, and every photo of her, her professional school photos from kindergarten through senior year popped up on my screen. I picked one of the best ones, you know, one of each. I went to my local print shop. I had them printed and I put them up on this beautiful display. And it was so easy and so meaningful and powerful. And she loved it. So the ability to spend less time worrying about, oh my goodness, this graduation's coming up, or heaven forbid, a memorial, you know, we have a celebration of life. Oftentimes people will come to us and say, you know, we've had a loss in our family. Now we need to put together this video slideshow of memories of this person. And, you know, it's very stressful, and it's already so difficult emotionally to lose somebody that you love and somebody that's close to you. If you could just have that easy to find, unfortunately, when that time comes, it's going to reduce the amount of stress and you can focus on healing. And then lastly, I think how it benefits us again is minimizing that anxiety that so many of us feel. And I think women in particular often feel it, although we have a number of male clients that have that same stress. But, you know, let's be honest, as women, we're constantly juggling things. I know for myself,
Yeah.
I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a wife, let me not forget that one. And that's just one more thing, is now we've got to take care of the photos. And there is a lot of anxiety and overwhelm surrounding that. So having that done, I can't tell you how many times I've heard clients say, I could hear this, and you can just
Hmm.
hear that sigh where that elephant is just lifted. And there's a sense of control and a sense of a positive control of, I've got that organized, I've got it taken care of. It's, you know, I know where to find them, I know they're protected, and I can pass that on for generations to enjoy.
What is the future of photo organization? I mentioned earlier about, a lot of people storing photos in their phone or, you know, mm, so for me, okay, disclaimer. So
Okay,
for
let's
me,
hear it.
I I will like go to Facebook and I will post, my photos on Facebook. I haven't done them as much lately, but I have so many Facebook albums with pictures in them. And just yesterday, I saw memories. I have two boys. I saw memories of my youngest taking his first steps. And I'm like, oh, he took his first steps this
Yeah.
time, around this time, however many, he's 9 now, however many years ago that was. And then I saw a picture of my oldest son, just like wearing a tie and like a checkered tie. And I said, oh, my GQ baby or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Right. And my oldest son, he loves looking at memories. He loves looking at the photo albums. He always comes and says, Mom, let's look at your Facebook memories. Now, what can we do so we're not just going to Facebook to look at our memories that
Right.
just pop up like once a year?
Yeah.
What's going on? What can we do? What can I
Right,
do?
right, right. So, and social media has given us this whole new avenue to enjoy our photos, between Facebook and Instagram and all the other things. And it's wonderful to be able to revisit those. Um, I will say when sometimes people will say to me, well, I've got, all the important photos up on Facebook. If I ever need them, I'll just download all those photos. And in theory, that sounds great. But when you upload photos to social media, they actually reduce the size tremendously. So now you're losing some of that resolution. So it's a great way to reconnect with those memories a little bit. But you're right, they just come up once in a while, and sometimes the memories maybe aren't memories that you necessarily want to be reminded of, or they're
Right.
just interesting. Um, and so once you have all of your photos consolidated, you've curated them, you've renamed, you've gotten rid of the duplicates, which I know you mentioned earlier, and I want to just say it's okay to get rid of those. I would encourage everyone to get rid of exact duplicates and get rid of photos that don't tell your story. If you don't know the people in the photo, there's no reason to hang on to it unless it's got some kind of a interesting, landscape background that you want to hold on to. But once they're all named and organized, you've done your cleanup, you've gotten rid of the cat memes and the screenshots and the pictures of the fabric and the receipt, and the field trip form. I've seen it all and I've done it
Yeah.
all. I get it. Um, Having your photos available to you in a format and in a location that you can revisit those memories in the way that you want to, not just photos that show up, is really important. So one recommendation that we employ for most of our clients is an online photo site. So we create this custom online photo site that they can go to, and it would be like Naeemah's family photos.com kind of thing. And with all the photos organized, what I encourage people to do is let's also add facial recognition, and let's use keywording for things like birthday or major holidays or milestone events like graduations and first steps, things like that. And so you can go on this online photo site on your phone or on a computer, your iPad, and you can look through those memories, and the kids can look through the memories. What's great about it, at least the way that we set it up and recommend, is everything is locked. So if you share it with other family members and your cousin says, I do not like how I look in that photo, she can't delete it because you're just giving her access to view it. You're in charge of the organization, but they can download it. You can purchase print photos. Your kids can go through and look at it. You can put it up on the TV. You can create virtual galleries. So you make maybe your son, one of your boys wants to create an album of their favorite photos that they can look at and put on a digital frame. So having them organized and then creating this online site with features like facial recognition. So like I said, I was able to type my daughter's name in, or my son is named Isaiah. So I can type Isaiah and I can type Darien, and both of their photos of the two of them will show up. And then I can really get fancy and type my mom's name in. And now I've got an amazing printed photo that I can send her for Mother's Day. And it's done like that. And so now I've got these amazing gifts that are so meaningful, but take very little time now that it's all organized.
Okay. I love all those tips and information. Now I have the tools to tackle
Okay.
my photo organization because I have a lot.
Okay. Well, we can help. So we'll chat.
Sounds good. So, I would love to know what are some of your favorite organizing products? Are there any specific to photo organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a number, we're contracted with a number of different companies around the United States, and we are always looking for the best solutions. But using any kind of archival boxes is really ideal. So that when you've digitized your photos, and I recommend that your print photos should all be digitized first, but once they're digitized or scanned, to put them in archival boxes and labeled. So having an archival box that has dividers that's labeled by year or month, and chronologically is typically how we recommend you organize your photos so that you can go back to those print photos and look through them, but they're in these beautiful archival boxes that you can kind of put off to the side. We sell those on our website, and I'd be happy to make some recommendations for anybody interested. But in addition to that, there are some items, if you're going to organize your own photos, that you can just pick up at the 99-cent store, your local Target. So some of those are index cards. And actually, I've got a few here. So we use index cards all the time, and I recommend them for everybody. You just get a bunch of index cards. And as you're going to organize your photos, you'll write the year with a Sharpie. And I'm big on Sharpies, and you can use different colors. And you simply write the year at the top. And then all the photos for that year you put behind it as you're going through and sorting them.
Hmm.
And then let's say you come across one that's June, it's 1985 June, and you went to the zoo. Then you'll write 1985 June zoo, so that when you go to scan those photos, you can use the information that's on there. And now you're satisfying what I recommended, which is having some kind of keywords or identification. Um, Post-it notes are great as well, but please do not put post-it notes on the front of your photos. Often we'll have clients come in and they do a great job of trying to identify things, although if you're working with an expert, that's not always necessary. But don't put the sticky stuff, the sticky side on the front of your photos. It's going to make the scanning difficult. It could ruin the photo. And don't use any pink or blue colored post-it notes. Even if you use it on the back, the ink I have found actually can saturate the back of the photos, and maybe even bleed through the front. So we just use, the traditional yellow Post-its. So, those are some of the tools, some extra tools that I think can come in really handy when you're organizing your photos is a stainless steel spatula. And you think, well, what do you need that for? Um, you might want to bake a cake at the same time. No, it's for those adhesive albums that we talked about that you peel the plastic back. And those
Ah,
are really adhered in there. And so you can use a stainless steel spatula to kind of pick the photo off of the page. And we use them here all the time. You can also use floss, just dental floss, to get through and get those photos off. So there's a lot of little fun tricks
yeah.
you can use. And then you can buy, they have these, there's a couple different adhesive removers that you can just get on Amazon or your local craft store. Some are erasers to get all the gummy stuff off the back of the photos, or like a Gooby Gone, that kind of thing. You want to be careful with that though, with your photos, because although it says it doesn't damage the photos, if you put too much on it, it can, roll over to the other side. But and then one more that I really recommend is a clean cloth, a cloth that you might use to clean your glasses or the lens of a camera, something that's really soft. It's worth getting a really good quality one to clean the photos, the fingerprints that are on the photos, the dust, the smudges, so that when you get them scanned, you don't end up with dust marks and stuff. So like we clean every photo before we scan it to make sure that you get the most vibrant result.
Okay, you gave us all the tips. Thank you.
Okay, good.
I am taking mental note of everything that
Good,
you
good.
said. I really appreciate that.
Of course.
Rachel, thank you so much for giving us all this information and advice when it comes to photo organizing. I would love to know what your greatest professional achievement is.
Oh gosh, that's always, you really have to humble yourself when you're asked that question. Thank you. Um, Quite honestly, I think it's simply starting, not simply, but it's starting 2000 Paces photo organizing. In a world where this industry is really just kind of surfacing, uh, I didn't have a blueprint to start this company. I didn't really have a path. If I had started a business that's an accounting firm, let's say, or a landscape design firm, there's some templates out there and there's some, business plans and things like that. But for photo organizing, because there's so many facets to it and it's just kind of emerging, um, I had to create everything from scratch. So that was a lot of trial and error, and it still continues to be trying to keep up with the technology in the industry. And the reality is that everybody's journey is a little bit different, and the way we organize everybody's photos is as unique as the journey that created them. So we're constantly having to pivot and create new solutions to sort of standardize um, projects that are anything but standard, and so meaningful and special. So I think the ability to help our clients preserve and enjoy their memories has by far been the biggest accomplishment and something I'm very proud of.
Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell everyone how they can find out more information about you and 2000 Paces Photo Organizing?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2000 paces, it's right here behind me. And I'll mention, some people say, well, what is 2000 paces? And in biblical times, 2000 paces actually represented a day's journey. And since we're trying to capture and protect our client's journey, that name just felt really appropriate. So you can find us at 2000paces.com. So just the number 2000, PACES.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well. And anybody who just wants to have a free phone consultation, because I understand, because everybody's journey is so unique, we do offer a free phone consultation. You can just click a button at the top of our website and pick a day and time on your calendar that works for you. And I will personally get on a phone call and have a chat. And if it makes sense and if we can help you, we'd love to. And if not, I'll give you a few tips so that you can work on this yourself. I'll also share that on our website, a little pop-up will appear and you can download my free quick start guide to organize your print photos. So it's a fun little freebie that you can take to get started. And thanks so much, Naeemah.
Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to tune in next time for an all new episode.